GSL.
Welcome back to the GSL Code S. We've had a lot of finals over the past few years, but not many have come close to matching this. I mean, this has been very close.
Yeah.
Not just in score so far, but in the way the games have panned out.
Yeah, even though someone might get far ahead in the beginning, by the end it seems to come a little bit closer. And now it is match point for Sue. Had to be match point for someone going into Game 6.
Yeah.
Will he close it out here? Will it go to Game 7?
I hope so.
I think it's going to go Game 7 because this map is Ultrazeme, and Ultrazeme, I like PVZ. I mean, we saw that he already knows how to use Phoenixes.
Let's see how Zest actually plays on this, though. That's going to be the big factor. Zest.
I don't want to see like a +2 blink all in.
For some very interesting strats.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of strats where if you see him coming, you can usually stop him. And some of those games are the ones that he loses, even in some cases that being very close. And there's been other games where Sue is just ahead in every aspect of how Zerg is ahead. Usually, if this was like a ladder game or a game between any two pro gamers and you just covered up the IDs, for instance, you would just say, well, the Zerg just should win from here. But Zest is so tenacious, he just manages to come back. He'll just wait it out, and if Sue makes one or two very tiny mistakes, he'll turn those into giant mistakes.
Yeah, he certainly will. That's part of his talent. Now, again, Ultrazeme, biggest map that we have.
It's a huge map.
I actually like it for PVZ. If you play it right, like you have to get your Stargates going late game.
You have
can't
to have that air
the
force early on.
The thing is, like, it's just so big that mutas are really good there. So I feel like you just have to go Sky Toss here for the actual kill. Sometimes we see people try to hit timing attacks and they just like lose a base trade.
Well, I mean, the distance is just so far. Zergs early on have a lot of strength in counterattacking. We don't normally see rushes of any sort on this map, although we have occasionally seen, because that's not common, that it suddenly becomes maybe a good strategy simply due to the meta, not due to the way that the map is made. Anyways, expect anything. We are very close to crowning the first champion of this year here at the GSL Code S. Will it be Zest? A possible Royal Roader, or will it be Sue now in his second final here at the GSL? I'm Taste with the Azartosis, and this is GOMTV.
KT roster Zest versus SK Telecom T1 Sue. Fight!
So Tasteless.
What's up, man?
People are pumped right now.
Yeah, the atmosphere in here is electric.
Cross spots, so this could be even more epic than what I was originally thinking.
Oh
we'll
my
see
God.
how this goes. But already it looks like there's not going to be any cheeses, which means it's time for a just intense greed.
Yeah, I mean, when you get a map this big, guys, you know, one problem is that the guy that decides to go all the way across the map and attack the other one, that's such a long distance that if they're tipped off to that information...
That's such a long distance, you'd have to sit down twice when you're walking across there.
So because of that, we have a lot of players who play very greedy early on. They try to get as many expansions and workers up as possible. So games on this map usually lead to pretty epic late game.
Yeah, they really do. And it's such an epic late game where, you know, you want to get basically every single upgrade in the game. You want to have a lot of production facilities as the Protoss player. Of course, Zerg can get a lot of those because of just hatcheries, produce everything. But you want to really have, just like, for instance, some of the best PVZs, in my opinion, that I've seen here, you will actually see them add like 5 Stargates late on.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Because they're like, well, I'm on 4 or 5 bases.
It's the same guy! He got a haircut, the Kerrigan hair guy.
Oh, okay. Well, I liked him before with the Kerrigan hair. He looked a lot cooler.
I thought it looked a little bit better.
So, what do you think, Tasteless?
You know, this is, I think, a map that's pretty strong for a player like Sue.
It's true. He loves his mutas. He loves his corruptors.
Is not a fancy Zerg, like a lot of the other Zergs we've seen here. He just wins with solid play, good reactions, a steady tech in the right direction.
Yeah. Nothing too fancy.
No, there's nothing really fancy about him, which is completely fine. But I feel like on a map like this, I know that Zest is very good, but this requires a very specific kind of Protoss play, one that you don't get to see a lot of on other maps.
Yeah. Very true. Due
to the giant distance, and again, they're not even sharing a corner on the map here. So, I mean, they're cross spots on the biggest map. Zest really has to have a lot of tricks up his sleeve, whereas I feel Su should have a pretty good read on this. I would love for it to go to game number 7, though. That would be
I really
best
think
gift
it's
of all.
going to. I mean, it'll come down to what does Zest really decide to do. How does Su want to play this as well? Because actually, one way I really do like it is if they go like heavy creep spread, heavy ling into Ultra, just control the map, and then switch into mutas. I love moves like that from Zerg because it just feels so safe on the map.
Yeah.
And Su is the type of player that can play strats like that, especially even in the late game. He definitely knows how to use Muta Corruptor, uses it more than most Zergs. So we'll see. I mean, he could close it out, but we all know what I'm hoping for. An hour-and-a-half game. Everything mined out.
I wish we had more games in StarCraft II where everything did get mined out.
Me too. Especially this map. Imagine this map being mined out. How crazy. So many bases that are like hard to get to.
Yeah.
All right. So Stargate, of course. Time to get some gas here as Su. Pretty normal timing on that for a very drone-intensive game.
Now, with the Stargate finishing up in a little bit here, we'll probably see Phoenixes. Phoenixes are quite good on this map. You want to clean out all the rest of the Overlords on the map. One thing that's it's kind of funny, but this map is actually so big, occasionally they cannot find those Overlords.
Well, that is very true, actually, because you send the Phoenixes and they only see like this very small strip of the map.
Yeah. Now, the Roach Warren is coming up here. Again, things have not really heated up at all because, again, this map is really all about greed. You want to try to take as much as you possibly can before you enter into a aggressive phase.
Now, this game, we saw that Overlord go over and find that probe for a moment.
Yep.
Now, did that set Su off that something might be wrong? Because it looks like what we're going to see, I think we're going to see him go ahead and hit a +1 Zealot pressure. And that's why that probe was out there kind of fighting. Because, of course, the Phoenixes can kind of clear the path, and then you warp in some Zealots, and things can get out of hand for Zerg. But it's another one of these situations where if he scouts it, it's going to be very hard to make something like that work.
Yeah. So, okay, this is a really bad side. This is really bad. And, I have to say, I'm a little disappointed that he put the pylon there. That is one of the many locations that you can put an Overlord. We do see a lot of Zergs actually make sure the third Overlord is not out in a lot of instances, but in this case, because of the distance, Su was smart and said, no, you know what, I need to have an Overlord out here. And this is a huge blow here for Zest because he has no other probe out on the map that can get away with anything. So really, he can't do the Zealot +1 timing. You see he's now going into Blink. He's switched up the build now.
Yeah, Blink and +2 for sure.
Yeah, and so he's going to do a Blink +2 all in here. But again, if you're Su and you already see that there was a pylon made there, clearly he was planning on having a ton of units attack early on. You have to assume that their only plan B could be something like this, a Blink timing attack with a Blink +2 timing attack.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, I hope for Zest's sake he doesn't go all in with this. I really actually want to see him. In fact, he's continuing to make probes, so I think he's going to take a third. I'd be kind of surprised if he actually just goes 2 base all in with it. Especially since the map is very long.
You think he'll take a third, maybe, like just applying pressure here?
Yeah, I mean, this is good tech to just have. It's pretty mobile. You should be able to defend against anything that really comes across the map. And I think that this is the best choice because if he actually tries to go across the map with a +2 Blink all in, is there any way that Su, who has basically every game gone for Zergling upgrades and lots of Zerglings early on, is going to die to it? I don't think so. I don't think so, and I don't think he thinks so either, and he does start that third Nexus.
Okay, so he's actually, you're right. He's just going to go for more defensive play, getting the tech that he needs to have. The robotic facility is now starting up here. But Sue is in a position that he'd be happy to be in. To just be one base up on the Protoss at this phase of the game is the exact direction that Zerg would like to take the game.
And he's actually taken a couple bases, so
yeah,
he's
taking
actually
a
trying to go
as
up
well.
to 5.
Well,
and
this will allow him to get to that Mutatech he loves to do very easily. I mean, when you have those 5 gases, you could just make mutas nonstop. You don't even really mine minerals from the 5th base that much. You pretty much wait for the other bases to mine out.
You know, it's funny, he's going straight into the Spire. No no hive, even though I really do like the idea of going into a hive here. You know, getting up that Ultralisk tech, especially against something like this, where you have like Ling Ultra against someone who's going for late Robo. And this I would consider pretty late Robo. Not the latest, but I mean, you're not going to have both Immortals and Colossus deal with something like that. But he wants to go into his normal flying tech, and that's what he's best with. That's what he's putting on the line with.
Okay, you can see that there's been a little bit of aggression there from Sue, seeing if he could maybe have canceled that Nexus earlier on down there. It did not work, but it's okay. The Zerglings are expendable at this point in time. And right now, Sue is, making a beeline in tech to get this air. Already getting the air attack. Nice moves here from Zest. He's just shaving off the drones to at the extractors.
And of course, we do have the counter air tech coming out of Zest. He's really on top of this. He's going straight into his Fleet Beacon as well as Stargate. We do have the mutas started now for Sue. And Sue actually sees that he's going to this counterattack. Will he continue? Yeah, there's another muta getting started. So looks like he just doesn't care. Like, this is the set of units that he likes. But what I feel like we absolutely must see, and this, he's on 5 bases. He can do it. Let's see a couple Infestors in Burrow. Let's see it. Because if he gets a fungal off, he can just win the game right there. Yes, 2 Infestors is 3 less mutas, though. So that could be on his mind.
Well, we're now getting to that phase here where it's going to be all about the air. This is because the ground attacks, especially from Protoss, are just not nimble enough to get, to be too effective. You can do a mineral dump, however, like you can see here with the Zealots, but you're not going to have, for instance, like a big ball of Stalkers and Archons trying to move around the map because Zerg can just go around it or counterattack with an air army.
Well, it would for sure force a base trade immediately.
Yeah. And so it's going to be pretty much all air units for the time being with the mineral dump on the Zealots. Just to get these other expansions.
We have a giant mineral dump going into Zerglings as well. And, I think that's quite a nice choice. He needs to... we saw a lot of this on Yonsu where he didn't make the Zerglings. He kept going in with mutas. But if you have the Zerglings in there, it's a lot harder for Protoss to actually hold correctly.
Second Spire coming down here.
May as well. If you're, as we were talking about before, Tasteless, air versus air, a lot of times it's Sky Toss versus Mutacorruptor here.
Yeah.
You need to get upgrades. It's so important. Way more important than a couple extra units.
And the Dark Shrine here as well. Now, remember, this is a big map. The bases are very spread out. And, they haven't even taken close to all the expansions on the map. I think DTs are going to be something we definitely want to watch for as these guys try to control these games. We're not at the point in time where Zerg has, 18 spine crawlers up around the map, which means DTs can move around freely while the Phoenixes continue to harass and do damage.
Well, we'll see. Okay, he's starting some spines and spores in his mineral lines, and that's really smart. He's thinking, what would Zest do right now to mess me up? And DT harassment definitely on that list. So he is getting ready there. The Templar Archives finally is starting up as well, so he can get some more cost-efficient Archons and possibly even a little bit of Psystorm.
Yeah.
I don't dislike having some Templars for Psystorm on a map like this.
Oh, certainly. That can be great. Especially with the way Zerg air units bunch up like that.
Mutas will, of course, heal up rather quickly, and Templars do die quickly as well. But, I feel like the way that Sue is maxing out here, you don't have a few Psystorms, you might be in a lot of trouble. Look at this army. 25 Corruptors, 13 Mutas.
Trying to spell something. Is that the Riddler symbol?
No.
He's like writing a note to his opponent. Creep tumors. Phoenixes are just moving around the map right now. Now, he does have to be careful with the Phoenixes, even though this army is very scary. If they get in the wrong position here against the Corruptor Muta, the Phoenixes can lose. I mean, that's is that 19 Phoenixes to, I think it was 26 Corruptors.
Yeah. So the Corruptors win right now, just straight up. But you know what? If he micros like this and just kind of keeps them back, not really easy for Sue to actually kill this army off.
Got to be careful about those Archons.
Yeah.
I mean, the splash damage is just too good.
I mean, you get 1 or 2 Archon shots on that big group of Corruptors, and suddenly they're going to lose the Phoenixes a lot quicker.
Look at the amount of cash right now that Sue has banked here. 4K in minerals, about 1.3K right now. Well, he just spent a lot of that gas, but well over 1,000 gas here. Now, this is what gets scary. You see the Protoss is at 170 supply, excuse me. The Zerg is maxed out. Now, the Zerg can lose a dozen mutas right now and instantly remake them.
Yeah,
that's really scary.
It is, but hold on, we actually have these Zealots trying to come in. Another one of those mineral dumps you were talking about before, Tasteless, but doesn't look like they're going to do very much, and this is part of the beauty of a big creep spread. You see things coming before they get there.
Yeah, he's definitely got his eyes out, and that's really good because it shows that Sue's been adapting. And a lot of these other games, he was getting caught off guard. I mean, let's go back to that one game that he lost where the Archons are being made in his main from a Warp Prism. So, yeah, he's definitely on top of this, knowing that, look, as long as he keeps his expansions up and running and has a good control of his economy, he can at least get to that next phase of the game where Zest has to bring it to the next level and endgame PvZ if he wants to win.
It's going to go there, Tasteless. We have the Hive finishing up 10 spines on the way, 2-2, as well as Infestors. And those Infestors are going to be so key. If he can catch the Phoenix Clump, that can win him the game straight up. But, you know what? As Zest goes up to 5 bases, if he catches that Phoenix Clump, Zest could be in the same position as well, where he can just remake it instantly.
The Mutas are coming up now. Not really able to do too much damage. It's just keeping the Protoss Air Army and the Archons and the Stalkers at home. The DTs so far been rendered impotent. They haven't really done anything impactful.
Yeah, well, that's a problem that, by this point in the game, 4 out of 5 DTs have that problem, Tasteless.
You funny, Artosis.
All right.
Phoenix is getting shaved off here. And you can really see the sheer damage output. Anytime that Zest is in the range of those Corruptors, he does just lose a Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, 25 Corruptor shots or so is pretty insane. So he's gaining some value here. One of the hatcheries does go down, so that was very nice. And some more Zell Orpins. This map is so big, you can't even find the Warpin pylons.
Yeah, it's funny how that actually works. Now, Zest still stuck at home. Now, note, Zerg is still ahead in expansions here. He does want to get that gas, ideally, since everything that's gas-related is what actually matters. Any additional minerals he has goes right, as you see here, into that mineral dump with the Zealots. And now it looks like Zest might actually push out. The Corruptors and the Mutas are now heading back down here to the bottom right.
Zest really wants to push out right now. He's sending some Zealots, trying to get those Mutas to withdraw. His army coming across the map right now, but we do have Ultralist tech for Sue, so he can remax in a completely different army set. I think his Archons are still pretty good against Ultraling.
Yeah, they certainly are.
Phoenix is not so much.
This is one of these great tech switches that we see that Zergs oftentimes and other races with. Is the guy is completely equipped to deal with Corruptors, Mutas. Once he loses that army, bam! Ultraling coming out here. You might have a completely bad unit comp while you are remaking that amidst the battle. And this is really this big seesaw that the Protoss or the Zerg rather attempts to utilize to abuse a race like Protoss, which has to have that perfect balance.
Well, Protoss right now has a very good anti-air balance, but he doesn't have a good anti-ultralist balance, really. I mean, the Phoenixes become very worthless, so if Sue can convincingly burn off enough of these units, he can remake an army that will crush what Zest has.
And you got to keep in mind here, Sue might get cornered over here inside the main. That's still fine. Look at the amount he has in the bank. He is more than prepared for a dramatic tech switch.
He can make 15 ultras right now.
Probably should not have shown those ultras just yet.
Yeah,
that was
definitely a mistake.
You definitely want to have the element of surprise here. So that might actually allow Zest, even if he does have a trade, to then recoup with a proper unit comp. This air army is actually going to die.
He might not have seen that, actually, because
that's very possible.
He hasn't made anything for it, and he was microing heavily here, so it's possible he didn't see any of the ultras. Looks like something he's got to look for, though. He's got to start thinking, like, this Mutalist count hasn't grown in a while. What is my opponent doing?
So some of that air army did manage to get out of there. It didn't quite get pinned up against the top side of the map here. And now we have a robotics facility coming up here. And this is really smart because he needs to have Colossi, Immortals, stuff like that to punish that Ultraling. Also, he can use Warp Prisms. If he does completely wipe out the Zerg's air attack, he'll be in good shape too.
Well, look at this. What do we have morphing right there? Is he actually going for some Broodlords? Wow, he is. All right, so he's going for that, good old
ultimate,
ST composition. Ultra Brood.
This brings me back to our last Wings of Liberty finals, which ended in the ultimate metaphor for Wings of Liberties. It was 2 Zerg armies with Broodlords. They could not kill each other. It was Broodlings attacking Broodlings.
Well, there's no free units for Protoss, but they sure have some range on them if they do go up to those Tempests, which you're probably going to want to end up seeing on this map. By the way, he did start picking off some of his own Phoenixes, which is a really good play at this point. The Mutas are not what he's afraid of. The thing is, he's only on 4 bases, so if we have a re-switch into Mutas,
Mothership Core.
that's amazing. Like, look at the gas and minerals right now for Sue. He could remax right now in 42 Mutas. There are he just has to see what he kills in the next battle. Because, like, for instance, if all the Phoenixes die, make 42 Mutas. What are you going to do, Zest? What are you going to do against 42 Mutas?
This is a big problem, Artosis, for Zest, because, I mean, really, he's at the whims of Sue here. Now, we've seen this happen before in more dire circumstances, and Zest has managed to come back, but this is on another level of endgame.
This is going to be wild. Those Ultras, a really good choice. Thing is, if Sue overcommits attacking into a defensive position, Zest can cost-efficiently kill it off and be in great shape. If Sue sits back for too long, then Zest can expand more, get more upgrades, get more production facilities, work on his composition, and be in fine shape as well. So this is getting to that situation where it's like, who is supposed to attack who here? How do we finish this game?
This will probably be our longest game today.
I would imagine so. The next map is Daedalus Point, and this is already, I think, our longest game. We're right there.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. This probably is already our longest game.
I'd be very surprised if Daedalus went longer than Ultrazine. That would be wild.
But the other funny thing is there's not a big chance this game will end right away either.
No, I don't think so.
There's plenty of options. The problem right now is that, and this is one of the things that Zerg really benefit from, the momentum he has as far as choices and ways to change this game and turn this game upside down are huge right now, based off his complete tech tree, based off the amount of money he has, and then based off the distance in which the Protoss has to go. Let's take a look at the slowest unit here in this picture we just saw a second ago, the Mothership Core. If you really want to have your army all together, you have to move at the pace of the Mothership Core.
Yeah.
Now, the Mothership Core can do a lot of damage and really turn a battle upside down, but the Zerg has the option to go around that. Also, the Zerg can continue to get expansions easily. Yes, I know there are DTs on the map, and they have been pretty effective at slowing that down, but if Sue focuses most of his energy on getting a new expansion, he's going to get it no problem. Now, the Protoss, the more expansions he tries to take, it's going to be a little bit harder to hold than if the Zerg does.
That's right.
The Zerg's have creep all over the bottom right side of the map. You can get there very easily.
He has to focus on it. In fact, that is what he's doing right now. Zest is basically just continuing to zone on the edge of creep to get his 5th base up, because on 4 bases you can make anything you want as Protoss, but you can't refill it. So he needs to get that 5th base and eventually even a 6th. But really the 5th, this is what's important right now. In the meantime, Sue realizing this, knowing he has to stay a base up on Protoss, taking his 6th.
Coming up here now with those Stalkers, unfortunately he can't really do that much about it. We now have over 10K guys for Sue. And
so now you can remake 80 mutas.
I was going to say, over 8K. That's 80 mutas.
Wow.
80 mutas, guys.
Of course, he won't do that, but like it's funny to...
If he loses his army and suddenly 80 mutas?
Wow.
Wow.
Craziness. You better have a lot of Stargates. Well, right now he's trying to bleed off some more units. The thing is, what does he go into from here? Because we see Zest, this is what we were talking about before, where if you choose to not attack, if you take too long, Protoss works on that composition. Look at him. He's throwing away a few units here and there. Those Stalkers aren't worth anything. Throws them away. He's getting some Tempests. He's getting some more Colossus. And he's going to make the sickest death ball you've ever seen, Tasteless.
The problem is if he does get... the problem I guess we have to keep going back to is really the issue of mobility versus immobility and the punishments that get involved in that. Because... right, they both started out in the mid-game with all air, right? They had the Phoenixes for the Protoss, as well as some support underneath that. And the Zerg, of course, had the Corruptors and the Mutas, but now we're into the end game. Because Zerg did transition into the Ultras, the Protoss has the comp there to answer that. And then so from there, that then forces Sue to go back into now Broodlords, but now Broodlords are very slow. So the only way to respond to the Broodlords for Zest is to get the Mothership Core. So you have these two guys with these two giant armies on opposite sides of the map, it's very hard for either one to attack into the other one because everything's so valuable there.
Yeah,
it certainly is probably not going to be Zest who attacks first, since Zest is probably more than aware that the Zerg has some ungodly amount of money that only Sue and the rest of us watching can actually see.
Well,
I don't even know how I'd feel if I was Zest and somebody told me in my booth, you know, he's got like, you know, over 10K.
I think he basically expects that to be the case.
Well, you know, sometimes when you play games like this, there's a little bit of ambiguity. You're like, you wouldn't know. You're like, well, I'm sure he's got a lot more than me, but I mean, this is a massive amount. I mean, Sue very effectively banked up a lot of money and managed to just keep it for a long time.
Okay, so we are in this next transition of this game. Mutas. They're back in style, Tasis. He's going for mutas. He wants to run around. He realizes straight up this army is really difficult to kill. In the meantime, Zest is getting ready to push because he's adding 3 oracles. With the oracles, he has longer range detection than an observer, as well as he can tag things so that his Tempest can hit from very far away. This is like the ultimate endgame for Protoss.
Okay, those Ultras cannot engage there. How many bases does Zerg have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 bases now.
Wow.
Protoss not that far behind either. Protoss now getting a lot of Tempests here. Now again, remember, as you said, Artosis, mutas are back in style. The mutas can actually go around and attack back into...
They could force a base trade is what might happen.
They could.
And the thing is, the anti-air in Zest Deathball right now actually consists of some Psy Storms as well as Archons, which means it's hyper-immobile, which means that as far as a base trade goes, it's going to be one of those really weird situations where the 2 armies actually can't fight each other.
This is where you know
you're
pretty deep in this game. When
oh, wow. He actually just threw away those Archons. That had to be on purpose. There's no way that wasn't on purpose.
Well, he might have thought he could get some mutas while attacking that expansion, but the problem is that, I mean, look at the gas here for Zest. It's not the same as the, you know, Pursue
No,
here.
certainly not. But Protoss units are more cost efficient, so it's still kind of okay. And he's actually, I'm surprised he decided to lose Archons. But, like, I guess it's okay to keep an Immortal in there. But anyways, we have him actually starting to make a ton of cannons and a ton of Phoenixes, and now he's actually starting to chase Sue down.
He's getting these Broodlords. He's taking them out. That lack of mobility now being punished. Zerg headed southbound now, although it looks like he may loop around back up to the top here to try to do a counterattack. The last of the Broodlord is taken out, but the mutas here going up to the north. Tagged Ultras now heading back down. We have 15 mutas on the way and 8 Corruptors.
Oh, man.
And, it looks like Zest is actually committing to this attack, Artosis.
He certainly is. He's going for it right now. Thing is, has he gone too far? He decides to back up and kill off a base. I think that is the right choice. You don't want to go all the way down in the middle of Zerg territory.
And he has banked up so many Phoenixes back at home.
Oh, man. Will this be brilliant or will this be a mistake? We're going to see. There's still a couple Infestors out, but if he loses all those, it's going to be hard to keep him still. Only has 1 more Infestor. He's
still edging out here.
Oh man, his army just can't do anything right now.
Yeah, you can see Sue at a bit of a loss here. He has not counterattacked with those mutas. Nice tag in there once again, and recall.
That was a good recall. That was a
really
very
solid.
Good recall. He did some good damage and got out. Funny thing is, did the Bank of Sue really change?
No.
Did it really change?
That's actually what's almost hilarious about this.
Yeah.
Now, one thing for Zest, though, is that he does have a multitude of Phoenixes, and he might be able to engage this so hard that it actually knocks Sue back to his base where he has no options. And remember, if you ever completely win the air fight here, as Protoss, you do have a window of time to start taking out the Overlords. Although then again, I guess with the amount of money he has saved up, he could probably just remake this the moment anything dies.
Well, yeah, he might have to taste this because it looks like these Phoenixes going to be able to chase down just about everything
Really great control. Look at how he's controlling these Phoenixes, just backing off.
Yeah, so well done. He's going to try to just stay away from these mutas, getting a lot of damage on them, killing off quite a few. So much money spent on mutas, but we do have 3 Infestors on the map. Still, if he can hit a good fungal, maybe he can kill those Phoenixes off and be okay. As is, though, definitely going to lose this base, and man, did he lose a lot of mutas.
Yeah, and completely driven back here. Okay, so he does wipe out that 1 expansion. Now remember, these expansions are important more so for the gas than even the minerals. The Ultras attempting to counterattack here. I think the Protoss should be able to clean this up pretty easily.
Especially warping in DTs.
Yeah.
Late game DT warp-ins to stop Zerg counterattacks in big maps like this is amazing. And his fungals are just kind of okay. They aren't exactly what he needs.
He needs to catch that Phoenix ball, and he's not quite doing it.
Yeah, he's catching like a few at a time.
Zest is continuing to push out here now. Now look at the minerals here. Actually much closer right now. I don't know what the story is with those queens. The gas here, very low for the Protoss. So any gas here that the Protoss loses is a pretty big deal here. The Zerg can still remake, but that bank account that he's got right now is getting spent pretty quickly.
He needs to get in there and get behind. It just seems like
Su can't engage this army. I mean, he just does not know how to do it.
Well, there we go. This is what he needed. He needed to get in from behind. The thing is, those Archons, that is the scary piece of this army right now. Don't let those Corruptors group up too much, and he's actually starting to take out quite a few of the Phoenixes at least, but all the Muta's gonna fall.
Yeah, he took out all the Mutas, and you know, from there it's just the Corruptors left. DT's coming up here. Artosis, Su is slowly falling apart.
He is. This has been some fantastic play from Zest. I think this really underlines what I was talking about before. If you play late game right here, PVZ, you should be a bit favored. Su hasn't had a lot of options on things to actually do here. I was like, wow, that's a new trail that they're leaving. Neon yellow. I thought it was a green muck. All right, so still has a lot of Corruptors. Oh, man. Taking a lot of damage. You just can't let those Archons connect so much.
Well, you know, Su is almost completely out of options. The minerals are the same now. He would be able to make 23 Mutas if he wanted to right now, but I don't know if that's going to matter because the simple number of Archons that are there. Notice that Zest was pretty smart. He never tried to get an extra base here. He was very patient. He knew that he could just defend just barely all this. He'll worry about another base later on if he has to. In the meantime, Artosis, I think we might be going into game number 7 here.
It is always a treat when we get a game number 7 into GSL Finals, and it could be here, but hold on. We do have Su pushing forward with his Corruptor Ball, starting to take out quite a bit, and in fact, this ground army should end up falling to the Ultras.
Nicely done. The Ultras just barely living through that fiasco down there.
Okay, so we see a higher supply by far for Zerg. In fact, over 100 army supply more, but he's got almost no drones. He's got 12 drones against 61 probes. Can Zest get a big enough defense force?
I mean, he barely has the money to make a hatchery.
Yeah, he has to win with this army.
The counterattack from Su could actually close this out. There's a possibility here that Zest overextended. Remember, Zest had minerals, not gas. He can really only make Zealots right now, and I guess cannons, which might not suffice against an army like this.
Wow, a lot of detection being made right there. Now he is pushing forward. Let's see what he can get done. Good Psy Storms going down. A lot of cannons in here. A lot of Psy Storms still being cast. Those Mutas go off to the back. Try to do what they can.
You know what? He held that.
He did.
He actually held that. Look at the supplies now. 122 to 123. Basically even with 58 probes to a dozen drones.
Wow.
Let's see. There's another attack up here. Every unit's so important right now.
His army is basically 7 Ultras. He's got 2 Mutas in there. He's got to get everything done with these Ultras. A lot of cannons left, a lot of units being warped in. Are they going to be enough? He just needs a little bit more damage on the ground, and then he will have held this completely. And with 2 Immortals coming up, I think he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, the Immortals are not coming up here. There's no Mutas. No, there's a few Mutas.
There's 2 Mutas.
He needs to target those down, and he does. And, okay, so remember, Protoss has a base up and running with minerals there. The Zerg does not. And watch how slowly the minerals go up. GG!
Oh, my God. We are going to game number 7.
Unbelievable. It is 3-3 right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's all going to come down to one final game.
I can't even, that was an awesome game. What a fantastic game number 6. My favorite in the series so far. Really Zest showing you how you can play that map when it was 5 bases against.
Talk about like patience, man.
No, seriously, he was so calm, so cool, so collected.
In that last game, there was a point in time where I'm pretty sure Su had more money than the Vatican, man. I mean, he's so loaded. There was no way that Zest could actually attack in there without the risk of the entire army being reset.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Being reloaded, I should say.
If he had walked onto that creep at any point, he probably would have lost the game, but he stayed back, he zoned him out, he got his additional base, knowing he needed to be able to refill his army, he did his tech switches when he needed to.
Yeah.
Sue was doing fantastic ones as well, just wasn't good enough.
He got that perfect comp. I mean, it's so rare that you have a situation where, okay, one guy made the perfect Protoss air army, the Zerg responds with the perfect Zerg air army, eventually you're going back and forth. Finally, the mothership's coming into play. He's got to get oracles now so he can tag the corruptors at a distance so that the Tempest can fire far enough.
Look,
really
it's not just that. Look, when he killed off his own 4 Archons, when he's like, all right, 4 Archons, go.
Yeah.
4 Archons is 1,200 gas, okay? That is a lot. That's a lot. And he does that so he can start making Phoenixes, knowing what Sue's about to do. That is how you play that
Also,
map.
note that endgame moment. Zest could have expanded. He had the money, but he thought, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to use the exact amount of remaining minerals I have at these bases to be safe so that the Zerg can't counterattack me, or if the Zerg does, he has to really counterattack with a lot of units, use a lot of ultras, a lot of lings, which, by the way, would mean that the army for the Zerg would be smaller back at home. The Zerg opts to not counterattack, tries to let the Protoss get as deep into his base as possible, hoping that he's shaved off enough so that when the Protoss returns back home, the Zerg counterattack. Mind you, by the way, the Protoss had I think it was like 200 gas after that big attack, hoping that maybe with the lack of Archons, the lack of Phoenixes, anything tech really, that the Corruptors, the Mutas, the Lings, the Ultras all coming back over there would wipe out a mostly Zealot cannon army and maybe allow Sue to get back into this. It didn't work. Look, sick game.
Strategically, they were both godlike. But we have to point out as well some of the really difficult control aspects that we saw. The fact that just throughout the entire game, we saw Infestors come in, and those were to try to catch Phoenixes.
Yep.
He never really got many of them caught. Like 3, I think, was the most ever caught by one fungal. Amazing control there, and to be on top of his army the entire time to make sure that doesn't happen, because you have to dance the entire time anyways. I mean, and then to see Sue dance his Corruptors.
Those units.
The Corruptors have to be danced as well, because if they fly over that Archon puddle like one time, they're done.
You call it the Archon puddle?
The Archon puddle.
I think the Archon puddle is whatever's left after the Archons killed whatever came over them.
Well, yeah, I guess.
All right. The final game, ladies and gentlemen, is about to get started. 2 players came in. Only one is going to leave, being a Code S champion.
This is it, Tasteless.
Zest against Sue here. It's going to end. Yep, on Daedalus Point.
Okay, this map, generally thought of as a Zerg map. It's gotten a lot better since the fixes, though. So I definitely could go either way.
Certainly.
I can't wait, man. We are about to have a GSL champion. Game 7, man.
Match. And by the way, this might be one of the, if not the most epic finals we've had. Yeah. We have so many finals that are 4-1, 4-2, sometimes even 4-0.
Guys,
it's 3-3 right now. Get out there.
Get on Facebook.
GSL.
Call
Tell your friends
mom.
to tune in.
Yeah,
get your pets in the room. Get the cat on your lap. He needs to see this.
Everyone type, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, in the Twitch chat and on Team Liquid.
Craigasm
Go
time.
crazy.
It's Craigasm time, guys.
Oh, this is it.
Who wins, Artosis? I'm going to go with my initial bet that it's Sue. You said that you thought Zest would win 4-3. Is it still going to be Zest?
I'll stay with Zest.
The game has now loaded up, and the world is watching to see if it will be Zest.
2014,
possibly a Royal Roader against Sue here in his second finals in the GSL Code S.